I'm Andrew Randall. Welcome to our series on how to improve your riding. When racing as a professional, I had to deal with many injuries. In order to recover from those injuries, I was shown exercises and stretches to help my body get better. Today, we'll go over some of those for your benefit. To help show us some of the exercises and stretches today, we have Kevin Jardine with us from the Urban Athlete. I worked with Kevin when I was racing as a professional cyclist, and it made all the difference in my riding. He has also worked with such veterans as George Hincapie. Welcome to the video series, Kevin.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a chiropractor practicing here in Toronto, and I've always involved myself with treating athletes. I've always enjoyed being athletic myself, and I've always been able to provide some of those services to top-level cycling athletes, as you mentioned, George Hincapie and BMC team, as well as with SpiderTech. So it's been a very good accomplishment that I'm very proud of.
And it made a big difference in my career. Kevin, what are some of the most common injuries that riders suffer from?
Well, what people don't realize with professional cycling is it is a very aggressive sport in that you can get injuries from repetitive strain, from all the training and mileage that's involved. You could also get an injury for some of the crashes that have been known to occur with cycling. So you can get an acute injury, which would be the one where you would fall off the bike and sustain an injury, or something just because of training and mileage, buildup of stress in the body. Those would be more repetitive strain injuries. Cyclists often will experience that in the knee area, in the low back, sometimes within the shoulder, as you've probably heard stories of broken clavicles and things like that, and for yourself, dislocated shoulders.
Yeah, dislocated shoulders, big problem. Kevin, how would people go about avoiding these injuries? What kind of stretches or exercises might they want to do?
Well, the exercises really are going to be geared towards preventing the repetitive strain type injury. Obviously, falling off your bike, really, you're susceptible to those acute injuries, and you can't really avoid those. But the repetitive strain ones do have certain exercises that do help strengthen and stabilize your body to withstand some of the physical stress of cycling. And some of those exercises we're hopefully going to be able to demonstrate today. Okay, Andrew, let's get started. First, we're going to grab a mat as we're going to be doing some floor work. Now, I think it's really important to note, first off, we're going to be doing some core strengthening exercises, and we really should define the core. Most people identify the core as being this particular area, but it's very important to understand that the core is actually from your breastbone down to your knees. The pelvis makes up the center portion of that core, and there's about 29 muscles that attach to the pelvis, 8 of which attach from the pelvis up, the other 21 attach from the pelvis down. So this becomes your suspension system to your core, and in cycling, this is really where you're generating a lot of power. So it's important to think about your core as being this larger area rather than just isolated on the stomach. So Andrew, I'm going to get you down onto your back for me. Now, since the core is made up of a number of different muscles, there are a number of different exercises that are going to be beneficial for people to do. We're going to demonstrate one of the best exercises, but it is only one. There are a number of exercises that you should have in a sequence when you're really performing a good core program. This particular exercise would be more of an intermediate one, meaning that there are exercises that you would want to do to build up to this level, but since Andrew has been doing the program successfully, we can demonstrate this particular exercise. This is a glute bridge march. Now, what we're going to do is having Andrew starting on his back, knees bent, feet are flat, and then we're going to get Andrew to gently bring in his stomach as if he's trying to put on a pair of pants one size too small. That will start to activate his core internally. We then get him to squeeze his glute muscles and raise his hips up into the air simultaneously up until about a level where the abdomen is in line with the thighs. Now, while Andrew tries to hold that position by activating the muscles, we're going to bring the left knee up towards the chest. We bring that leg back down and smoothly transition into bringing the other knee up towards the chest. We bring that leg back down and we repeat through the exercise. This is a great exercise for cycling in that you really have to maintain good spinal stability while simultaneously working the hips. And you're also working one hip flexor while the other side has to work through the hip extensor. That's very similar to what you're going to get through the pedal stroke. So this is a very effective exercise. Now that Andrew and I have shown you a successful core strengthening exercise, we're going to move on and now show you a stretch that you should perform. Now, stretching is important to include within your program, and it's more ideal to do a little bit of stretching every day than a lot of stretching, but really only infrequently throughout the week. So ideally, holding your stretches for about 30 seconds and doing them each and every day is going to get you better results in the long run. The stretch that we're going to demonstrate, we'll end up using this box, but you can easily use a bench or a chair when you're at home. We're going to get Andrew to come over to the box. We're going to stand just in front of it, and we're going to place the left foot up onto the bench. Okay? Now, from this position, we're actually going to be accomplishing two different things. We're going to be leaning into that stretch, stretching out this side in through the front of the thigh and the hip flexor, and we're also stretching out part of the posterior aspect of the hip. But then when Andrew starts to come back, we can then have the heel up on the bench, move forward, and we can start to stretch out the hamstring. So just rock yourself back, straightening out the leg. Yep, so you're going to straighten it out. Good. Just like that. And this starts to get in through the hamstring area. And then we go forward, putting the foot flat, rocking forward into that stretch, getting once again the stretch in through the back part of the hip and also the front part of the thigh. Once again, two muscle groups that are going to become quite tight with cycling. Then we rock back after about 30 seconds and we're going to get in through the hamstring. If you feel flexible enough and you want to challenge this a little bit more, just keep your upper body nice and tall and lean your breastbone towards the wall. So that ends up getting more stretch in through the hamstring. And you really want to avoid letting your upper body collapse down into this rounded position, which would be very common for cyclists. We want to stay nice and tall in the rib cage. Once more, Andrew, just the knee forward, stretching out in through the back part of the hip, and then back. Excellent. Getting a stretch in through the back part of the leg to stretch out the hamstring.
Kevin, thanks for showing us the exercise and stretch today. These were something that was definitely missing from my training program prior to meeting you. And once I started doing them, they made a huge difference in my performance, and I think actually extended my career by a few years, which you can probably attest to. Kevin, if we had more questions, how would we get in touch with you to find out more about this kind of thing?
Sure. And, let me just end by saying, it is great to see cyclists really starting to engage more in strengthening. We see it pay off in, your pursuit of a professional career. Other athletes are now starting to see the benefits of strengthening and core stabilization in their performance. It really does make a key difference with how well your body recovers, and it really should be a part of the routine. For anybody that does want more information, they can obviously visit our website for our clinic here in Toronto at www.theurbanathletes.ca. And if you're interested in learning more about the programs like what I have Andrew on and some of the other professional riders, you can visit feelingprettyremarkable.com.
Thanks, Kevin. And that's it for today. Remember, if you have any questions for myself, you can contact me at arcoaching@gmail.com. Thanks very much.